Morning all. Hope everyone is well and happy and full of plenty of viol playing notes and some sunshine. Life is all right, isn't it? So here we are in our Gastoldi duos. We've reached number 6. We're going to look at the bass part. Those of you who are following the fortunes of Philip the Pheasant, he says thank you very much for all his various messages, and he's feeling particularly pleased with himself at the moment because Mrs. Pheasant is wandering around at the head of a line of smaller pheasants and flapping and squawking with great gusto at anybody that comes anywhere near. So Philip is feeling very proud. This is number 6 then of the Gastoldi. So from the top, we're going to start on a back bow and use most of the bow, I think, and in half position because it's a B flat. So let's see where we get. So far so good. It kind of bows out, doesn't it, and works nicely in half position. So starting on a back and putting another back on the crotchet at the end of bar 3. Let's try that together. So we're 1, 2. Then another back bow, I think, to go on. Let's look at that then. So this is bar 8. I would definitely start that on a back. And it brings this out nicely for the minim to be strong, weak, strong, weak. And the quavers to be nicely at the tip. I would move to first position in the middle of bar 10 as you go up the quavers on the open A string, 1 on the B, because I want a 4 for the D at the top. But then come back. Yeah, let's go from 8 then, on a back bow. You don't need the whole bow for this, so just think whereabouts you're going to start. Bar 8, and it goes 2 and 1. Move up. Move back. Going on. So this is the upbeat to bar 15 again, back bow for it. Back bow again. I think the F is likely to be much more interesting than the E. Can you hear that there's more in that upper note than there is in the lower one, and it comes out nicely forward back. Now this is completely personal taste. I would play this in first position because I hate finding the B with 4. I'd much rather find it with a 3. So I've moved. Let's do the upbeat to 15 then. Back bow, but again not the whole thing. 1 and 2. Let's go on. There's a few things to think about in there, isn't there, from 20. So I started on a back bow thinking that I was aiming there. Slightly regretted it here because the quavers are backwards. But then this was nice, bowing wise. It's nice to have that in 23, the dotted crotchet on a forward bow. Nice little quavers at the tip and then strong, weak, So I think it's okay, the bowing. Start it on a back in 20 and then just bow it out, but be careful that when your quavers are backwards, you don't end up with kind of alternate accents to the way that you want it to be. So that's the bowing. I'd start it in first position. So you've got enough fingers for the D. But then, how about a 3 on the G at the end of 21? So we're effectively in half position. It means the C comes on a 3. You've got a 2 left to play the G with at the end of 22. And then if you want it, you've got your 4, haven't you, for the A at the start of 23. So this is 22, I'm in half position. Chordal fingering. And then I'm using a 4. You could go for an open string. Would be fine. Hope that makes sense. Let's do it then from 20, starting on a back bow and in first position. 2 and 1. Move back. There's some really useful bowing in there, isn't there? If you play those quavers long, you're going to hear like the Elgar cello concerto as you get up to the top there. I would just throw those away really lightly at the tip, and then plenty of contact on the top minim when you get there in 24. It's just useful bowing, isn't it? Being able to put things in different parts of the bow with different amounts of weight behind them. Let's go on for a minute. So the end of 25, I'm going to guess at a back bow and see what happens. I'll just play it for you for a minute. 25, the end of. So back bow. And another one. And in first position, so you've got enough fingers for that D. I would play a 4 on this A. And then reach back for the F natural. Having reached back, I might put a 3 on the G, just whatever's lying around really. If your 2 is there nicely, that's fine. It's just making sure you've got enough fingers left to play the 4, isn't it? And not running out before you get there. So let's go the end of 25, the last crotchet of 25. 1 and 2. Going on. Things to think about in there as well then. So this is 32. I'd start it on a back bow. And then I'd start this on a back as well. And it's nice for those few bars to get the minim on a forward. And again here. These quavers come out nicely the right way round. This is 36. Now we're backwards unless we do something about it. But by here we're okay again. So I wouldn't mess about in 37. I think I would just live with that little set of quavers being backwards, because if you correct it, you're going to have to do it again in a couple of bars' time. So I think it's not worth the hassle. Does that make sense bowing wise? So I'll do it once more. This is the upbeat to 34. I'm starting on a back bow. So this is forward, forward, nicely at the tip. This is backwards, but here we are. So that's the bowing. Let's have a think about some fingering. I was in half position to start with because D and F natural. I moved in the middle of 36 to a 1 on the D because partly it's that B again and I just don't like it with a 4, but also partly 37 when we just got to, I would play 1-4 for the A to the C rather than crossing to the C string. I'd keep that whole bar on the G string. Back to half position. Open string for the first A, but then I think the second one is just not news, is it? The first one, much more interesting, and the second one much less. So the first one gets a B against it, doesn't it, in the tenor part while you're playing it. But when you come back to the second one, it's a completely innocent resolution. So I'd go for the open string for the one that matters more, and the covered stop sound for the one that resolves in the middle of 40. Should we try that together? This is the upbeat to 34. A bit more to think about in there than some of the previous sections. Half position, back bow, 1 and 2. Move to a 1, 1-4. Moving back. Going on then, 41, and I'll just play it for a second. I'm going to start at the tip. There's some decisions to make in here, bowing wise, aren't there? So I started it at the tip, thinking, oh, there's some nice quavers here and I'll put them in the best place. And then this came out backwards, but this was right. This is backwards, and this is nice. What are we going to do? So that would be a good place to tuck, wouldn't it? And put another forward bow on that top C. But then this is backwards. And so is this. So I've decided, this is a matter of personal taste, you better try both of these out and see what you prefer. And I've decided that I quite like this on a back bow to get to the tip. I think that's okay. Quavers are backwards, but these quavers are the right way around and we're still at the nicest end of the bow. And these also. So I just feel like that way around it keeps us in the top half, which is a much nicer place to play quavers than down here. And whatever bowing you do, some of your quavers are going to come the wrong way round. It's just a question of deciding which ones you want to prioritise, or whether you mind kind of which end of the bow you end up in. So I'm going to start 41 at the tip on a forward bow and bow it out from there and not bother tucking or correcting anything. Let's do it and see what happens, and then we'll think about some fingering. So this is 41 and 1. Back to the tip. Fingering wise, I'm in half position because F natural and D. Stay there. Now I can see a B coming here, and my natural inclination is to move into first position. I would just much rather be in first than half when on the bottom couple of strings. Shall we do that again? This is 41, starting at the tip and in half position. And 1. go on. That's a much more straightforward section, isn't it? This is the upbeat to 48. I started it on an open string and on a back bow. I came back to a 4 here just because I thought we had plenty of A beforehand. I'm not sure that one is so important. Again, personal taste, but that is my choice. Half position in 50. So you've got the F natural. Now we could put a 1 on this D, couldn't we? Because looking ahead, in 55, that's where we were going to want to be, and there's loads of time to move on the open E string. In 54. Let's just play that bit upbeat to 48. Last crotchet 47. 1 and 2. Going on. So starting in 55 then, we said 4th finger, back bow. I would do another back bow for the next upbeat crotchet. And again, stay in first position because you want the 4, don't you, on that D. Move back here, 3 on the G, F natural. Now, again, because of what's coming, I would move back to first position, put a 1 on the A in 59, and bar this D to A. Play the E with a 3, because then they're on adjacent strings, aren't they? And you haven't got to leap all the way over. Half position for the F. And my personal taste again of that B with a 3. And one bowing thing to think about, so from the same place, at the end of 56, starting on a back. So far so good. If we carry on bowing it out, we get strong weak there but the wrong way round, we get the quavers the wrong way round, we get this the wrong way round, and strong weak the wrong way round. So I would put 1 tuck in to correct it. And I'd do it in 59. On the second crotchet, I would put another back bow. So going again from the end of 56, I'll just play it through, starting on a back. Then another back bow here. Then you get strong, weak, nicely at the tip. Should we try that last bit out? We'll go from 55 because we didn't play that, I don't think, before. Starting on a 4 in first position. Whereabouts in the bow do you need to be for this? Just because it's a back bow, don't necessarily start it at the heel. This is 55 coming up. 2 and 1. Tuck the bow. Should we play the whole thing then from the top? Nice and steady, just the bass part. I'll count you a bar in. Back bow, plenty of bow. Really relaxed here. So we don't get a kind of crunch at the beginning. Just make sure this is really relaxed, this is nice and open. And your open string, your first note should just start as though somebody has come along and done that. No working hard for the sound on the first note. Here we go. 1, 2. Another back bow. So I'll play the tenor part then, shall I, and leave you to it on the bass. So I start, which is always useful. We'll stick to the kind of pace we've been going for now, and then we'll try it again a bit quicker. So if you're ready, I'm just going to kick off rather than count in. Here we go. How did it go? I think it should go a bit quicker than that. It's just a bit laboured, isn't it, at that speed. Let's look at the nippy bits. That would be a nice speed, wouldn't it, for it to just kind of flow along at. So just think about that for a second. And again, I'll start, but I won't count. So you've only got a bar to get used to that new speed. So just think it through for a second. And here we go.